His time.
I wasn't paying attention. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 11th, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting for the Cuyahoga Heights School District. Would the treasurer please call the roll?
Mrs. Apathy.
Here.
Ms. Majeska.
Here.
Mr. Rossi. Here. Mrs. Decker.
Here.
Mr. Suchaki.
Here. Motion, 5 present, none absent. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of the meeting. A copy of the board agenda is available on the school district website, and we do ask that silence cell phones during the meeting. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda, please.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Decker,
Second.
second by Ms. Majeska. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, we have 2 additions, 2 purchase orders. I'll talk about those in my section tonight, too. So just
Okay.
adding 2 POs, but we'll talk about that as we go.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, let's vote on the modified agenda.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Ms. Majeska.
Aye.
Mrs. Apathy.
Aye.
Mr. Rossi. Aye. Mr. Suchaki.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Comments from the public? I only have one person here, but I don't, perhaps not going to make a comment tonight, so we'll move into section 4, presentation.
You'd like to talk about the amount of homework in 4th grade, wouldn't you?
If Isabella was here, there would be comments.
All right, so our presentation tonight is our annual food service update, which we are required by law to do annually. We typically do it in the month of May, so it is that time of year again. Mr. Burek worked with Mrs. Mead to put this presentation together, so he is going to give you the 5, if we're lucky, 10, if he entertains questions, minute presentation.
Yeah, so again, I thank Pam Mead for putting this presentation together. She does a great job with our food services team and meeting the needs of our students and working with the admin team to work through all the different requirements of the position. So first off, this is a review of policy 8500. All right, so school districts must adopt and enforce a nutritional standards policy that considers the requirements of Ohio Revised Code and governs types of food and beverages that may be sold on the premises of schools. Each school district, in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, designates staff to prepare an annual report on the district's and schools' compliance with nutritional standards as required by Ohio Revised Code. A copy of the school district's annual report must be uploaded in this consolidated school report survey. Like Mr. Young said, this is done each year. Meal patterns is the first topic. So all meals offered must meet the NSLP meal pattern component, quantity, and dietary specifications. Meal patterns emphasize fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and age-appropriate nutrition. Pasonic partners, who are licensed dietitians, help ensure our district has a compliant nutrition program by creating menus, providing training, and helping with auditing to stay within the NSLP guidelines. I'm going to show you something here real quick, if I could get it up. I think I got it there. So this is pretty cool. This is one of the things that Ms. Mead will do with her team as they're evaluating different food options. For food services, use this calculator, so it has to be shown as compliant. So if you go through there, for example, if we were going to talk about an entree that we want to consider for the school lunch program, because sometimes they'll do surveys with students, then you answer these different questions. So is your entree, make a weird one, we'll pick a meat alternative alone. Next step, is the first ingredient of your product, we'll say it's none of the above. But you see if it's fruits, vegetables, dairy. So it's just reading the labels on the back. It's pretty easy process. Is your product a combination of food with at least 1/4 cups of fruit and vegetables? Let's say it's false. Your product is not compliant. So as you get through the process, it will shut you off before you have to answer more information. We were looking at some protein products the other day, And we ran through it and were able to say, oh, yeah, this is something we could potentially serve. And then we had to see if it's something that's provided by our vendors or not. And then pricing, things like that, if it falls within the scope of what we're doing in the cafeteria. So she regularly goes through these things, builds meals up with her and her team. And like I said, it's a pretty cool process right there.
So two things. We updated this policy officially at the last meeting because of the substitute engineered meat products.
That's why I picked the meat one as my
That's why I
choice.
picked meat.
Yeah.
Also, I would suspect that even when we have these vending machines that we have talked about coming back to the school, they have to fulfill the requirement there. You can't put anything in the vending machine that's not going to be compliant with USDA requirements in our food policy. So you're not going to get candy bars and caffeinated beverages and high sugar content. It's going to be things that are low calorie, low sugar, healthier snacks that have to be compliant with this. So if you're looking for Snickers bar, you might not get it. But if you're looking for something with granola in it, you got a shot.
Yeah,
So-
and it's a pretty straightforward process, so you're going to run it through the calculator. If it's something that we could do, we do it, and if not, then we're going to pass on that item with the students. Meal pattern changes, so the meal pattern changes for the 2025-26 school year were effective July 1st. If you click on that link within this presentation, you can see a little bit more about the meal choices for this year and beyond. Product base limits for breakfast cereals, yogurt, and flavored milk, so there's different components, like Mr. Young had mentioned. So in cereal, you can have no more than 6 grams of added sugars per dry ounce. Yogurt, no more than 12 grams of added sugars per 6 ounces. Flavored milk, no more than 10 grams of added sugars per 8 fluid ounces. And then a la carte flavored milk has some other requirements as well. One of the things sometimes you hear when people start talking about school lunches, because they'll hear some of the names that are associated with like sugary items, and people immediately like, oh, the school's serving this. But the reality is, again, all of the things that we're selling are like the healthier versions of those brands that are made specifically for schools and are in alignment with the required patterns. So there's a little bit more nuance to that. So if ever tells you guys as school board members that, well, the lunchroom's serving this stuff that's totally not nutritious, that is not accurate statement, okay? And we could talk through the process. They reach out to Pam, Mead, or myself, and we could explain the calculators and how we get there. Civil rights and special dietary needs are also a component of this policy. So all team members complete annual civil rights training at the beginning of the school year. So everybody who works in the food service department does that. They display non-discrimination statement on our website. We post in Justice for All posters in all school offices. Continue to accommodate special dietary needs when supported with appropriate documentation. So we have some students who have different health needs, and if there's things we need to do to modify their lunches, we would do that. Food safety, so our staff members are ServSafe certified by attending a workshop once every 5 years. Team members' ServSafe certificates are on display in the kitchens. Staff members attend a 6-hour training at the beginning of each school year hosted by Pasonic Partners. 2 health inspectors per year conducted by the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, and they're submitted to the Ohio Department of Education. And workforce by the Director of Food Service and posted in the service stations in the cafeteria. Production sheets are kept as records to track how much food should be prepared to help limit waste and record food temperatures. There's this whole like hidden side to food services, just like everything else in education. With very detailed record about the temperatures of food throughout the day, how much we use, how much is left over. So very accurate documentation on that end. Principles of hazard analysis and critical control point. Systems are implemented with the intent of preventing foodborne illness and are found in every recipe we have. All staff members review these plans and signs in part of their training. Wellness component. Allergen information and nutritional labels are something that is shared out. They actually do a nice job using like picture graphs in both the high school, middle school, and elementary, so kids know what products are in that food for the day. So sometimes they can't articulate, but if they see like I shouldn't be eating that, that's something that they get trained on, and they always talk about look at those pictures when you're making your food orders. We have EpiPens in both cafeterias available, and then we can continue to implement the goals and standards included in the local wellness policy and comply with all requirements of the final rule. Again, other things of note, we do provide alternative meal options for students on a 504 plan at no charge as required by the student's primary health care provider when necessary. Carryover funds and student accounts transferred to the students. Debts are collected per administrative guidelines. We have policies that are listed on our food service website that kind of talk about all those structures in place, and those are updated yearly as well. Lunch applications are accessible on our school's website under Parent Resources. We use PaySchool, and those are embedded right in there. They can do the digital version. If somebody has accessibility options, we'll get them printed copies as well if they need that, and we'll send them home. But Pam will also work with families if they need assistance with completing those. And then again, any items requested by the board are available by contacting Pam Mead. So with that quick presentation, that might have been less than 5 minutes. Anybody have any questions about some of the things that I covered?
The changes to the cereal, the changes that were made, does that affect anything that we have been serving?
No, no. Everything's in alignment. So if it doesn't fit that calculator, we have to stop selling it. But again, working with Masonic partners, we usually have a pretty good idea of what trends are coming in play. If there's like legislation out there with changes coming out, we're always planning ahead of time.
What's the plan for, even though it's not food related, it's related to food preparation, what's the plan to look at an audit of all the equipment and
Yeah, so
those facilities?
we've done an initial walkthrough of both the cafeterias in this building and the building next door. And one of the things that we realized is we have some really old stuff. Go figure. You never hear that statement said here at Cuyahoga Heights. So we have some things that are old and end of life, but we have a pretty significant gap in some of our refrigeration and heating, and especially like our lines in both schools. There's components that are built into those that are no longer operational. So one of the problems that we've had, challenges I guess, is that we've replaced some of those things with standalone like coolers and heaters and things of that nature, and they take up a lot of space. So one of the things that we've been talking about is working with GPD and doing like a little deeper analysis of creating a replacement cycle and how do we modernize our school lunchrooms to be more efficient, to taking into account new trends in food services that are kind of passed us by. We're very traditional in how we have our things set up right now. So it's a little bit more, a larger extent than probably initially thought about. Our biggest target right now is we have the cooler refrigerator in the high school, middle school. That's a major storage area for us that's not operating correctly. So that's going to be one of our big overhauls this summer. And then the next thing we need to do is just prioritize what items are necessary right now and what things provide us opportunities to expand in the future, as well as not limit us if we have to make some changes in the layouts of both lunchrooms. All right.
We had mentioned breakfast for high school, middle school at one point. That's kind of off the table at this point?
Yeah,
Or
so-
at least delayed a year?
So our numbers switched up a little bit, so we don't qualify again now. So
Okay.
that number's always kind of fluctuating based upon our free reduced lunches applications that get submitted. It doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have people who might need that or benefit that from that. So we're always trying to work with families, pay attention with our counselors, our building principals. If we feel there's families that may qualify who didn't submit, we want to help them through that process. One of the things our lunch staff does really well is they don't identify students who are on free reduced lunch. Every kid's treated the same way. We don't give a certain lunch to somebody if they don't have enough money or things of that nature. So we have a whole policy in place that's aligned with best practices and really respecting the whole child as we do things, so that there's not a stigma associated with somebody who does qualify for free and reduced for whatever reason that family might have at this time. But I would say we probably would have more people qualify if we could get some more participation in that system, but it's always hard to get parents sometimes to acknowledge that maybe they don't have as much as they need to support their families.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, moving along to treasurer's business.
All right. Hey, Matt, we might need your help to switch off from George. We're good. Yeah, I might need that.
I got it.
How many administrators does it take to get in?
3 Matts and a George, I guess. here we go.
All right, so I ask for items 5A, 6A through 6B for approval tonight in the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for those items, please.
So moved?
Mrs. Decker.
Second?
Oh, we got to change, Mrs. Appleby.
5A is our minutes from the 2 meetings that we had. 6A would be our purchase orders. So we have 2 here and then 2 I'll pass down. So of our 2 here, first one is Dean's Greenhouse. That's for our 2027 plant fundraiser that's coming from the class of 2027. And that is $5,527.95. And then the second one is for the new bleachers. So the board approved the urgent necessity resolution May 4th, and that resolution authorized the superintendent to execute a contract or quote, which that occurred May 7th, 2026. So Matt had approved via the urgent necessity resolution the bleachers, and that amounted to $283,900. So this is essentially a formality approving that, and it's coming from our athletic facilities master plan, which is also known as the billboard account that we have. And then the 2 additional ones, we have 2 printouts here. One is for 11,000, it's the single page, and that's for AP testing for the 25-26 school year. Scott just created this literally as I was walking down the hall. I know I'm gonna have to update that one. So it's for 165 exams, and Scott had the price at approximately $66 per exam. That's how we get to the 11,000. So that's for this one. And the second one is going to be for the aluminum bleachers that would be used in the south gym before the installation of the other bleachers, and then be moved to the north gym to replace the wooden bleachers. So this is from Paul. Those aluminum bleachers will total $17,100, also from this athletic facilities master plan account, because we were thinking about 300,000 fits in. So this 17,000 essentially makes up that remaining portion to get us there.
And how much do we receive from the billboard?
305,000. So I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything to those, Matt.
I'll talk about the bleachers more later.
Any
I've got
questions on
pictures and things like that.
Is it an estimated 165 exams, but you have to order more? Or,
No,
No.
that's the actual number of exams.
Yep.
look, because the description that says 188.
Yeah, so he didn't change, if you gotta look up in the upper, look in the middle of the page.
Yeah,
under
Scott
the
didn't-
description, so he didn't update underneath the line item
Yeah, I'm
properly.
Yeah, Scott didn't, there's 2 places. Scott only updated the first box in the top right.
If you look at the requisition description, right here, it says AP test, 25, 26, 165 exams. He should have copied that and pasted that here. The dollar amount's right, but he just didn't change the description in the line item, so Matt will fix that.
Yeah, I'll fix it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's down, you saw, obviously, we had 188 exams last year, 165 this year. That's normal fluctuation for us. And we do cover the costs of students to take AP exams here. That's something that's been around for quite a while, and we're glad that we can continue to do that for our students.
Our last item is going to be a modification to the permanent appropriations. So we're increasing Fund 300, 280,000. I have a little bit of carryover in there for the bleachers that we have, as well as the other bleachers that we just approved tonight, the 17,000. So that's why we're increasing. And again, we kind of have our whole story right here. So back in September, we approved, or excuse me, back in June, we approved our temporary appropriations for the year, and then we modified that September 17th. These 3 modifications. Then we had a January 7th modification, 3 items there. In February, we modified that one. March, that modification. April, and now we have May as we go. So, those are all the items I have for tonight for approval.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mrs. Apathy?
Aye.
Ms. Majeska?
Aye.
Mr. Rossi?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Treasurer, discussion and comment.
Yep, just 2 items tonight. We got a letter back from Cuyahoga County, and this deals with the property tax advances. Now, if we remember, they sent out an email and a letter that said that they were going to eliminate advances. So we look here, typically we would get, for the first half collections, we would have an advance in January 15th, then in February, and then get the remaining portion in March. So maybe like $1 million here, 4 million here, and maybe 2 or 3 million here, typically. And then come the second half collection, we would get an advance here, so maybe 2 or 3 million, and then maybe 2 or 3 million here in August. The county came out and notified everybody in Cuyahoga County, so schools, townships, villages, cities, that they no longer are going to be advancing property taxes. So all the entities essentially, were concerned about that and had reached out to Cuyahoga County. Well, their response is here in this memo, and they're not budging on what they want to do. So they put a rationale there, and they say on April 8th, your finance officers received a notice from the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission explaining that beginning January of 2027, property tax distributions will occur only during the 2 state-mandated settlement months of March and August each year. This change is driven by 2 primary factors. Number 1, the State of Ohio Department of Taxation schedule modifications. Historically, the Ohio Department of Taxation certified property values and authorized counties to prepare tax bills in late November or early December for the upcoming tax year. This allowed counties to mail bills in December with mid-January due dates. Last year, however, Cuyahoga County did not receive certified values until December 24th. I think we had something to do with that, with their error, and that they were trying to fix everything. Once certified values are received, the county must complete several steps before bills can be mailed, including validating calculations, special assessments, TIFs, abatements, bank verifications, etc., preparing and printing the bills, and allowing for USPS delivery time. Even under ideal conditions, this process requires 3 to 4 weeks for the county's nearly 500,000 unique parcel bills to hit mailboxes. Due to this timeline, Cuyahoga County has already permanently extended the tax bill due dates to the 3rd Thursday in February and the 3rd Thursday of July. Recent changes to Ohio property tax law, this is important. 5 Ohio House bills enacted last year introduced significant changes to property taxation, including inflation caps, adjustments to owner-occupied non-business adjustments, and expanded authority for budget commissions to reduce unnecessary voter-approved levies. These laws became effective as March 20th, 2026, and will apply beginning with tax year 2026 billed in 27. Because these new laws require additional calculations, review steps, and coordination, they will add processing time to the upcoming billing cycle. Cuyahoga County, in coordination with the County Auditors Association, is currently working with the Ohio Department of Taxation on implementation guidance. And then they just point out comparison to other counties. Through a recent survey conducted by the County Auditors Association, 19 counties reported on their distribution practices, so 15 counties provided advances only upon special request, but otherwise only gave them in March and August, and then 9 counties limit special request advances solely to schools and townships. Given the statewide impact described above, we anticipate that even fewer counties will continue offering voluntary advances. They do have this kind of carve-out here, temporary hardship considerations, so Cuyahoga County is evaluating whether it can provide assistance, or excuse me, whether it can provide advance funds on a case-by-case basis to taxing districts experiencing documented financial hardship during the first 2 years as jurisdictions adjust to reverting to the state outline distribution schedule. So they're not budging, and they said if you have a temporary hardship, they're maybe going to look at it on a case-by-case basis. So they're holding pretty firm on this. So I don't see them reversing course, which is going to cause other school districts with a lower cash carryover to really panic. So I think, but again, if we use the analogy, a boat's taking on water and it's sinking, we're one of the last boats to sink of all. So. Unless Jaws comes through and just plows them around. And then good news, so the last item. Today I spoke with our senior audit manager with the Auditor of State's office, Megan, and our fiscal 25 audit is complete. It's another clean audit, and hopefully we will qualify for another Auditor of State award. Megan said that their office will conduct an exit conference on the audit before our next board meeting, May 26th at 5 PM. Hopefully that works for everybody, 5 PM if you guys can arrive. And then we're going to go into that other room, and this is essentially an auditor of state meeting that they call from their office. So, and she will email out the official invite approximately 1 to 2 weeks before May 26th. So, and we'll hold that in person with the audit team when they come. And I just wanted to show an example of a not-so-clean audit. So this is another school district. And if we look at their audit report, go all the way down, and towards the end, you see findings. So here, they talk about were there any material weaknesses. You want that to always say no. This one happens to say yes. I'll make it a little bigger. Were there any reported material non-compliance? Yes, you want that to be no. Were there any material weaknesses in internal controls? It says yes, you want that to be no. Any reportable findings? It's marked yes, you want that to be no. As we come down here to the actual issues, they have quite a bit. So this is issue number 1 that made its way in the report. Non-compliance material weakness talks about no subdivision is to expend money unless it has been appropriated. The district had expenditures exceeding appropriations in certain funds. Second finding is also non-compliance material weakness. It talks about requirements for amending appropriations. Any amendments to appropriations made by the board resolution should comply with law. The district did not properly modify its appropriations. We actually just did that tonight. We modified our appropriations throughout the year. Due to not properly modifying appropriations, expenditures exceeded appropriations in certain funds. As we continue to go on, this is issue number 3. It's also material weakness. No fund shall have a negative fund balance. The district had certain deficit cash fund balances which did not meet the criteria of Ohio Revised Code. You can't have that. Issue number 4, this one dealt with budgetary accounts in the financial system and how they budgeted their legal level of control, which is the fund level. Issue number 5, as I keep going through, this happened to talk about deficiencies that dealt with more appropriation level aspects. The district had appropriations in excess of actual resources, which isn't good. We see number 6 down here too, which is also material weakness on the financial statement presentation. So they had some errors in how the financial statements were prepared. Continues, and number 7 dealt with the IDEA special education grant that they had question costs, which is never good. So that means that they didn't have sufficient support when the auditors came in to produce why they made that charge to the grant, which is never good. So 7 issues, not only that, but actually carried on, they had quite a bit written. And then these are schedule of findings of prior years. So these were not corrected in the audit report. So quite a bit. So this is a bad audit report. Ours doesn't look like that. We're going to have another clean audit and potentially an award.
So if you have findings, do you have till the next audit to get them fixed, or do you have to turn something in sooner, action plans or?
Actually this. So
Okay.
this is what happens when you do have findings. So you have to have the corrective action plan. And it talks about the finding number. And we went through all those findings tonight. So we looked at 8 of them for what they have. And they talk about a completion date and the person responsible for having those fixed at this school district. So quite a bit. And this is only what's in the report. There are 3 levels. So the report's the most severe. You never want it in there. Management letters, the next tier down. And sometimes that happens from time to time with particular issues. And then the very, very minor one is verbal comments. So the auditors just say to you like, hey, we just want to make you aware that, this is a, ticky-tack file, but it exists, so, keep an eye on it. So there's the low level. There's always something. So even when I was an auditor, you always find something. I mean, nobody does everything perfectly across the board. So even with schools that win clean audits and auditor state awards, they have issues, verbal comments, and maybe management letter comments as they go. So the lowest level is verbal. Management letter is another step up. Big one is anything that makes it in the report. Then, once it's in the report, you have to analyze, is it a material weakness, a control deficiency, question costs? So it's just a whole litany of what it could be. So you don't want anything in the report because that is not good. Every
We've
year
been
I'm
on that end of it before, haven't we?
Before I got here.
Long time ago.
Long time ago, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, my tenure, we've had clean audits the whole way through, so proud of that. And the team, proud of the team doing that work. So that's all I have, I think. Does that work 5 o'clock for everybody? For next, board meeting, the 26th? Okay. I'm seeing nodding heads. Okay, cool. So we'll be set to arrive here at 5 o'clock, and Megan will send out the invite pretty soon. And then we'll just transition to that room and listen to the audit exit conference and be ready for the board meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to number 9, superintendent's business.
Okay, on the consent agenda for consideration, we've got 9A, B, and C, 10A, 11A, 12A, and 12A and B.
Okay, entertain a motion for those items, please.
So moved.
I'm sorry, is it this guy?
No.
Oh, Jessica, I'm sorry, okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, second, Mr. Oskey. Discussion.
All right, first item, 9A, these are setting the price rates for our conference and Ohio High School Athletic Association playoff and facility rentals for the rest of this year and into next year. So these rates are what we're going to pay should we have any OHSAA or CVC playoff event happening here at Cuyahoga Heights. Next, letter B, this is a memorandum of understanding with Chase to establish the new 260-day senior cleaner position that I have discussed with the board prior. The MOU ensures that all parts of the negotiated agreement that are affected by this establishment of this new position are consistent with other positions within the bargaining unit. I've attached the proposal that is in there for why this was recommended. Again, we had many people who were working near year-round without getting year-round benefits, and we wanted to make sure that this was consistent, equitable, and fair. We didn't feel like it could wait until we get to negotiations a year from now. So I appreciate Mr. Sonny Spadaro helping us work through this so that we can offer this up. So what it's going to be fits in between the cleaner job description, the 195-day cleaner, and then the custodial position. So a CDL is not required for this position, but there will be increased job responsibilities. For example, you could help with simple landscaping projects. You could run electric equipment like an electric leaf blower, learn to run the scrubber in the school, help with closing up at the building at night, event setup, tear down, things like that, that are crossover into the custodial position, but not quite at the level of custodial. It also provides a seamless career pathway. So if somebody were to come in as an entry-level cleaner, they could work their way up to a senior cleaner, and if they have the proper qualifications and we have an opening, they could potentially move into, say potentially, it's like nothing's ever guaranteed, into a custodial position, and then if they get more advanced training, they could become a tradesman. So what you have is a nice career pathway here. And so when you look at the job description, you look at the proposal, everything is in line with that. In addition, let me say this, we're not hiring additional people. We're going to survey our current cleaners to see if they want to be considered for the 260 cleaning position. So we're not going to add personnel. We're simply going to have this one-time opening where the people who are currently 195-day cleaners could become 260-day cleaners. The next move would happen when somebody leaves or retires. Okay, so we're not adding additional staff.
Is there enough room if they all wanted to move up? Like, do you have enough work days to? Or is it like-
There is enough work to do in this facility.
Okay.
There is. In fact, we may be able to do things that, you get to maybe once a week, you now may be able to do it a couple times a week. And that becomes really helpful well, there's 2 times a year, right? I think the summertime, when everybody's gone, you're allowed to do some really deep cleaning and maintenance around this facility because you just don't have the bodies. Another time of year is really during the winter months and during heightened flu seasons when you really need to make sure you're disinfecting every single room every single day. And this would help out immensely with that, as well as it's a big campus, right? There's a lot of windows, there's a lot of doors, there's a lot going on, a lot of events. So this will help support the custodial staff as well as allow us to do things at a more appropriate level. So, plus these individuals will get to earn vacation time. There'll be overtime opportunities, additional holidays that they would be paid for. So I feel like it's fair because they're working near 260, but not getting those particular benefits as other 260 positions. So it seems to be the right thing to do at this time. Next, we have under 10A. Oh, did I miss something? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Skip 9C. Approve the disposition of class funds for the class of 2016. So the class of 2016 has additional funds just under $3,000 that they would like to use in our policy permits for their 10th class reunion at the Wild Eagle. It's down, I think, in the North Royalton, Brecksville, Broadview Heights area. This is food and facility rental only. Adult drinks are not permitted to be purchased with these particular funds. So that's pretty standard for everything that we do. Next, we have 10A, the reemployment of certified staff. So these are all certified staff members who are on limited contracts. They, through their evaluation, have all been recommended to continue on the limited contract. None were eligible for a continuing contract at this time, so we would continue with the limited contract with satisfactory, and here we have more than satisfactory evaluations. So proud to recommend all these people for an additional contract. Under 11A, these are supplemental positions. All this is a modification. So we had a 5th grade musical director position in which the individual was had FMLA and was gone for a portion of the year. And so that allowed us to split that position in half to share it with that individual at 50% and another individual at 50% who covered while she was gone. And so this is just a modification. It allows us to pay that supplemental. We'll be paying second semester supplementals here at the end of the school year. So it was necessary to get this done now, and it hadn't been done yet. Hopefully we don't have to use this much longer, but this is the substitute teacher list, the updated one. There's not much school left, so probably won't be earning any vacation pay from this group here, but that's okay. It's been updated. 13A, so this is, so we give an assessment called the Ages and Stages questionnaire in our pre-K program. We're required to give a high-quality assessment. One aspect of it is a survey component for the parents to complete. This app allows or gives a medium for those parents to provide the feedback we need for that required assessment. If you're going to have any app that the school is going to have an agreement with, which we will, you also have to have a data privacy agreement per Senate Bill 29. Mr. Hartman has done an excellent job this year of tracking what softwares that we're using, what's been requested, and whether we have privacy agreements. It's absolutely the law that we have data privacy agreements. It's called Senate Bill 29. So this is a way that we're making sure we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, so that bad actors don't get a hold of those I's and T's to dot and cross for us. Okay. Finally, we have a request for us to continue our membership with the Alliance for High Quality Education for the 26-27 school year. The Alliance is our advocacy or lobbyist group. We're one of, I believe, approximately 100 members. of that particular group. Tony Pottegill, Will Schwartz are our state level
That's
representatives.
the luncheon that goes over Capitol.
Yeah, we attend the luncheon at Capitol Conference. When we saw the senators and the representatives speak, that's the dinner that we attend on that afternoon of the second day. He and I have had a lot of conversation with the folks at the Alliance. We were the first one, I can promise you, we were the first one to sound the bells last April 1st on the cash carryover cap provision. Tony hadn't really landed on his lap yet when we were already calling down there. So we've utilized them, we've emailed them a couple times. The cost is $4,000, and I feel it's worth it because they do a lot of advocating for public school districts. Not always getting what we want, but getting us closer to what is necessary for schools to continue. So those are all the items.
Any questions on those items? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Bujeska?
Aye.
Mr. Rossi?
Aye.
Mrs. Apathy?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to superintendent discussion.
All right, yep, a few things here. 10, actually, to be exact, and I'm sorry. So future presentations, I've put together a State of the Schools presentation based on our BEST plan. So we have 6 pillars of the BEST plan, and I've put together a presentation that outlines, in my opinion, based on data, how we are fulfilling the 6 pillars of the BEST plan. So I would like to do that in June, if you're okay with that. The first meeting in June, do a presentation. Might take 20 to 25 minutes. It's not going to be a 5-minute version. I would get an opportunity to present this. We've talked about even taking it and making 1 or 2 minute segments that could be posted on social media on the website about each pillar, just so I'm giving a high-level presentation. If you like it, I'm more than willing to go travel to the different village council meetings and present it as well, if they'll let me speak for more than 3 minutes. All right, so I can't force them to give me that platform, but I think it's important that people hear the great things that are happening and the real threats to public education where we do it, which is also a threat on your community, in my professional opinion, doing this for 31 years. I also would like to have a pre-K presentation that night as well. We are contemplating admitting 3-year-olds who turn 4 by January 1st. Tom used to talk about having seats on the airplane that are empty. We've got seats empty in our pre-K that we could benefit by having more students. Right now, 3-year-olds are permitted to the program with a disability only. You have to be 4 years old at the start of the school year in order to be eligible for pre-K if you're a general education student. It would allow us to fill our classrooms and have more like-age peers for those 3-year-olds who qualified with a disability. We sent out a survey. I believe we had 70 responses, maybe 38-ish, potentially interested in this coming school year, which is way too many. We don't have 38 empty seats on the plane, but we do have 12, okay, ish. And there were like additional 16 interested potentially in the next year. But I would like for them to do a presentation to the board so that you can hear it. This would not require the addition of any extra classroom space or the hiring of another teacher. When the capacity is filled, the capacity is filled. And the capacity is determined by how many 4- and 5-year-olds show up for your pre-K program. So if you've got space for 48 and 42 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds show up, you've got space for 6, and we would like to have that space filled. Next year, we have 32, all right, I believe, and that's over 4 classes. That's 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Those are pretty small numbers. It might even be 28. We're like 7 kids a class right now. So if we could open it up to those students who would be of, the age of 4 years old by the time the year ends that they enroll, then we would screen them to see if they are eligible. It's not an automatic. You have to pass standardized entry points. So I'm initially in favor of it because we have the space. But I would like for them to present to the board so you could ask questions about the program and what the guidelines would be. Number 2, The Chamber of Commerce meeting, we'll talk about that here shortly, and number 16 is this Wednesday. We do need to get a head count. I will talk about some of the highlights of the school district as well as, some of our advocacy efforts as well. I'll do my very best not to offend anybody. Not here, but in the businesses, because
Do you have your jokes ready?
I have no jokes ready. It's been pretty serious lately. Levies didn't do very well. New money levies did not do very well. That's not a surprise this spring. New money levies that were earned income tax levies did miserably. That's because they let the businesses off the hook. And in this school district, that means 75% of our local revenue is off the hook. It doesn't work. Math does not work in this school district. Which is why if you eliminate property taxes, then you're going to pay 15% earned income tax in order to cover the local cost. So where I've done an analysis of it costs, a homeowner in Valley View, $400,000 home, you're paying about $2,900, you would pay $22,000 if you're making $150,000 combined living in that same home. You're talking about 9 to 10 times more you would pay because you're going to have to cover the costs of the businesses, which in this school district is almost everything. So everybody should be doing everything they can to protect tax levies of all things in this district. You want them because it's kept your dollars low because of the business contribution. But I'll talk about that at the chamber, hopefully not offending anybody in business out there who doesn't want to pay more in taxes. So anyways, number 3, best committee meeting is going to be on the 27th of May. I will also present the State of the Schools presentation. They're actually going to get it before you get it. It's just to listen to it. It's not to say, well, we don't like this. Okay, thank you. Appreciate the feedback. Just tell me why you don't like it, and I'll make a modification. But it needs to happen, and that's going to be one of the first audiences I give it to, and I think it's a good thing. But that'll be a 2-hour meeting. Charlene Paparizos, who is head of our communications, she's our head communication consultant. She helps with the newsletters and the social media. She and, why am I forgetting? So sorry. Margaret. Sorry, Margaret. I'm so sorry, Margaret, because I know you're listening. They really help with the communication. I want them to present for a half hour. I'm going to do the State of the Schools presentation. We're going to talk about property taxes. We're going to talk about a modified BEST plan that I put together. That was based on your recommendation. Carolyn had suggested, why can't we just have like a one-pager, with less words? And so we've modified that. So I'm going to present that night too. Number 4, where are we here? Number 4. All right, GPD. Let's talk about structures here. So playground, I know playground's important. Based on the recommendations, neither playground is handicap accessible right now. They've done a lot of playgrounds. They're estimating it to be anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 is a new playground. So might take us a couple years to get there. So don't quit fundraising, but I just don't know that we're going to be able to get anything within the next year. I don't know that we have that kind of money. What do you think?
Nothing?
You think nothing?
No.
No.
You can't do anything?
We can put down more mulch in the one area, but nothing is handicap accessible right now. And if you're going to do any modifications to the playgrounds, you would have to come up to code. And what they were talking about is there appears to be water issues. Imagine that, water issues. Like they feel that when they put that newer playground in, they paid no attention to any type of drainage over there because they're seeing things are starting to rot underneath and breaking down inconsistently. We can have more conversation about it. I asked Jason to continue to work with his people because I need to have a full picture of what we're talking about. But if it does come in at those amounts, it's going to be tough to do that in a year. It's going to take a couple billboard collections to get us there, potentially. This is the guy we'd have to talk to. He knows the money, but we're going to try.
We can put together scenarios.
Yeah.
Or just look at the options.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, we've been working on that. That was the email he sent me today. It's going to happen. I just don't know if it's happening next year or the year after. So if we do it again, we want to do it right. And at some point, we'll talk about maybe a bigger plan for back behind there.
Are there grants available for like handicap accessible?
Kelly Cummins is going to start looking into it.
Okay.
She asked me today if I minded if she would start looking into grants that could be, that could go to support something like that. So she's going to start looking into that for me.
That's good.
Yeah, reading my mind, yeah. So, it's just, we'll have to see. I mean, if you get a $100,000 grant and you get PTO kicks in some money, now all of a sudden it costs maybe half. Now we're talking about a different conversation. So, yeah, we're open to it. We also want to make sure that we put in something that has some feedback and is going to last us for a while. And we'll talk about some of the. We're always trying to think. Yeah, you got to live in the now, but think about 10 years from now at the same time. And one thing we realized and this will be my second point, when the milkman did it and ran into the bridge over there, there's only one way in and out over there. If he had done that at dismissal, let's say he was showing up at dismissal, didn't know any better, all of our buses would have been back there, until we cleared the area. So having only one way in and one way out can be problematic, and we've talked about, is there any way that we could do, and again, this is just spitballing ideas here. Could you do a land swap with maybe a neighbor, right next to the building, if they would be? I don't know what that looks like. It's just spitballing ideas. That we could actually put in an access road that goes along the south end and is like a one-way around type of thing. To do that, you've got some structures that the tree has to come down, the playground has to be moved, things like that. So you want to make sure whatever we do with a playground has the ability to fulfill those potential plans that may make a lot of sense in the future. So you may not be able to put it right back where it is. So there's just some things that we have to consider before you make that investment. We want to make sure that we're forward-thinking for the next generation of leadership. I could be here in 10 years. I don't know. I don't know. If Cleveland sports don't start winning, I may not make it through the end of May. But anyways, so the arch. We talked to the structural engineer last Friday, and they studied the drawings and they put all the numbers into their software. And everything is pointing to those arches having a supportive component to it. The I-beams that they used are not to the specifications that are necessary for that to be a stable bridge with those I-beams alone. And they believe, they have to actually come out and test it. The software is telling them this, so I have to come out and actually look at it. They do believe that those arches are providing some type of load-bearing relief to that bridge. And so it could be another 8 to 10 weeks before that's fixed. But that's what we're looking at right now. So that's where we are with the arch. We had the insurance company out today. Chris Feetner came out. Sounds like most everything is going to be covered. There's a $5,000 deductible that we would go after the milkman for. So that's where we are with the arch. That was 4. That's 5. What's 6? South gym bleachers. Okay, a couple things about the bleachers. This is just a photocopy. It's actually brighter in the book, but that's what they're going to look like. So just pass them. There's a front and a back. They're going to be that color red. They're going to have that paneling tone. There's going to be so obviously the shiny silver and then the black. So just the timeline of things, so after the capital improvement presentation, concerns were shared about the condition of the bleachers. We went out and got an inspector, not these people. These are installers. We went out and got somebody with a license to come in and inspect the bleachers. They put together a report. In the report, they specified serious safety concerns. We contacted those people today. I had Jim Zerbola contact those people today, say, is it possible just to pull out 3 rows of bleachers, just for small events? The email they sent back to me was essentially an absolutely not. As per our conversation, you asked whether it would be acceptable to extend only 1 or 2 rows of the bleachers for use. Our company considered these bleachers to be unsafe in their current condition. We do not recommend using bleachers until the minimum required repairs and corrections have been completed. If you choose to operate and extend bleachers before the recommended repairs are made, you do so at your own risk and responsibility. We spoke to our insurance agent today, and he said that we would forfeit, what's the word? Sovereign immunity? If we were to do something and somebody were to get hurt, no matter how many rows you pull out. So I know that can be, so let's go to the next thing. Commencement is coming up in less than 2 weeks. We cannot pull out the bleachers if it rains. We cannot do it. And that is because the bleachers, it's because a safety concern was voiced. Just like I did with any other condition in this building, I don't feel this is safe. Okay, we brought in the experts. This is what the experts say. Okay? So our backup plans would be, our primary backup plan is to use our own facility here, but we'd have to use chairs. We can rent chairs. It would cost $2,000 to rent 350 chairs, and then we would use the ones that we currently have to go with it. The other possibility is we could reach out to the Career Center to see if we could rent their chairs. They have like 1,000 of them. They have a lot of chairs. See if we could rent their chairs and bring them over here for the day and then take them back. We did ask if we could just use their facility, and they said, sure. It's air conditioned. I think it holds like 500, 600, 700,000. It's not 700,000. It's the biggest stadium on the planet. 500, 600 people. But I feel that even though that would be the smart choice, because it's air conditioned, they have a beautiful stage, they have sound, they have a big screen, you don't miss anything. I think our people have an affinity for being here and graduating from here. Nobody wants to be the first class not to graduate on this campus. And I think they would rather sweat it out in the South Gym in some capacity than to go 10 miles south. That's just my opinion. So I can reach out to Dave to see if that's a possibility to borrow the chairs. I don't know what he's going to say.
All 3 villages have chairs. Maybe we could borrow them from Valley View at Brooklyn Heights and just the city.
That would be great too.
You got about that many, I think.
I got about 50.
Maybe. I just want to make sure that we've got capacity. It's a big gym. You could put 500 chairs, 600 chairs on that floor. I'm pretty confident in that. But we are, the forecast has changed 4 times since I've checked it, since this morning. We've had 4 different weather forecasts. But that's just going to be one of the, I can't do anything about it without going against the company that did the inspection, the insurance company would have to cover any any event that somebody were, and chances are nobody would get hurt. But if they do, then we essentially would not be covered by insurance. So that's where I am. It's just the timeline of things. I think September 14th is the date. They'll be installed by October 2nd. We've already moved home games to away games, and flip-flopped. So it's not like we're going to lose the number of home games. It's just they're going to be played on an opposite schedule. We're going to get additional volleyball standards installed in the ancillary gym so that we will still have the north gym for practice, the ancillary gym for practice, and nobody has to leave campus to go practice. They can all just practice here. We can still play middle school games in the north gym. We can do reserve games if we needed to in the north gym, varsity games. will have to move, away. Probably the reserve will go with them for that period of time. So we're trying to take all the steps that we can. My apologies to the volleyball community. It was either this time, if we wanted to do the gyms now, we had to approve this back in September. And that's when I had the inspectors out. It wasn't possible at that time. So this is the timeline we're on now. It's either now or it's December, like September or December. Those are the only two dates.
Quick other question, for the $2,000 rental, did they drop them off and don't set them up, they just drop them off?
They would drop them off, pick them up, we set them up and tear them down.
They gave the price for setup, but it was.
3 times as much?
Such a high price,
Yeah.
so like more than a share, so you're
Right.
like, okay, you'd be setting them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, George and I'll just do it.
Also, I'm saying if you're gonna borrow them, it may be hard to pick up chairs from, so the delivery may be worth it.
We have, we've got the equipment bus that's emptied out. So it would be loading that many chairs onto the equipment bus, one way or
I bet
another,
you-
even if we went to the,
I bet the service departments would, I don't wanna
Yeah.
speak for them, but
yeah,
maybe.
so that's something to look into, and I'm so sorry for going long here. So we talked about commencement, that's on the 24th. That's not that long from now, it's less than 2 weeks away, so it's coming. Senior awards are coming, that's on the 19th of May, that's next Tuesday already. 8, 9, district and regional track meets are coming. We're trying to get that area over there with that arch to a point where potentially we could use that back parking lot, but as of right now, we can't. So that means there's gonna be an awful lot of cars all in the villages, all over here, or on this village. But that's 2 early release days coming up at the end of May.
Is it possible with something like that to have them park down at the park and then bus them up?
So we're gonna park the buses down at the park, and then we will use a van to bring the bus drivers up. Yeah, so that's where we're gonna have to park the
25
buses.
buses, we have to accommodate. So,
Yeah.
because in the past, we would use,
Klima.
Since they're doing that construction.
Or Toscana, or across so we've lost that, we've lost that, we've lost that, and now we've lost that. So, yeah. And we can't park them, typically when we've had overflow parking, we've parked people down the hill here and, on the grass area. Well, you're gonna sink, because it just rains all the time, and you're gonna have a discus go through your windshield, so that doesn't work for you either down there. That's where the teams typically set up camp, so we'll make do. It'll be all right. It'll be good. It's gonna be great. State test results, they start coming out tonight and into tomorrow. Math, science, and social studies, and then English comes out next Wednesday. So find out how our performance index looks here within the next week. Fingers crossed. Nothing we can do about it now, but I really do appreciate the effort. We had 100% participation by our students, so we've given ourselves a chance. Our staff did a phenomenal job of preparing them. Kids gave a great effort. I mean, 95% of them really took their time. There are a few that cashed it in, but it's just a few. It's not like a whole community like some districts have. Really did a great job. Okay. Sorry, there was a lot to talk about there. Did you have any questions about any of that? Okay. All right. Tapping out.
Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to 16 board business resolutions. We do have one resolution, motion to approve attendance at the State of Schools Chamber of Commerce event taking place on May 13th, 2026. And the board members plus a number of staff members are listed in the agenda. I'll make that motion. Can we have a second, please?
So moved, or second?
Okay. Any discussion?
So let's go start this, who is not attending? Who cannot attend because you have work commitments or prior, okay? So, Mr. Rossi and Mrs. Deca.
And of course, mine would be shared with the Career Center.
Yep. So everybody else can attend, so that, I'll let Tracy know because As you can see, the cost is $30 per member, $40 non-member. And these are the people who will be speaking. Okay? Anything else on that?
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mrs. Apathy?
Aye.
Ms. Pajeska?
Aye.
Mr. Rossi?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Any board discussion or comments? I do have a couple. It was a very busy couple of weeks at the Career Center. And of course, some of you were part of that. Starting with the all-board dinner on the 30th, where we have the grand opening of the new section of the Career Center. I think, how many, were there 4 of us there? Board members? Three. Three board members attended. That event went over, I thought, pretty well.
Mhm.
We had our administration there as well. It was a very nice event, and it kind of kicked off a week of events for the Career Center because the following week, yes, that on Monday the 4th was signing day. And the interesting thing about signing day is if you're already committed to the military, you're already committed to an employer, they come in with their contracts. People who are committed, they sit up on the stage, they actually sign their contracts right there, and they are now officially employed as a result of their career preparation at the Career Center. And Heidi Stiegelmeyer, who's one of our students, is the cosmetologist who has been cutting my hair. And during her presentation, it was pointed out that she, one of her customers is a board member from Cockeye. Mentioned me by name. I didn't expect, but okay. So that came out. That was kind of interesting. And then this Thursday and Friday were the senior recognition days. And there were a number of things which jumped out at the recognition. Specifically, the one that's most significant is that Anthony Kondash was named Career Center Student of the Year. Not only Student of the Year for his area, but he was named the Career Center Student of the Year. That's 20-some people. He was selected. That gives us 2 years in a row for Student of the Year at the Career Center, and we have the smallest attendance, smallest number of students.
Yeah, and Samantha Valley was also the cosmetology student of the year. So
Right.
Samantha and Anthony both were the students of the year in their respective areas. And then there's Anthony's photo. He is, because Emily Sanicki was our student of the year last year. And now that's Anthony Kondash. It's a pretty big deal.
It really is.
Very big deal.
Speaks volumes about our students, and whenever it comes up in conversation, people always tell me, staff members always tell me, your kids are the best. They're well behaved, they know why they're here, almost exceptions, of course, but and generally speaking, the Cockeye students really speak well of the preparation they've gotten here when they get to the Career Center. So, it's a privilege to be able to be part of that, and I thank you again for appointing me for my current term. And I think that's all I had. I did go to the prom, by the way, this past weekend. It was pretty limited in terms of supervision. There were only 3 staff members, 3 teachers plus the principal. 3 teachers plus our high school principal. That was it. And I was the 5th person so it was a good thing that I felt useful, to say the least, rounding up students, saying, no, you can't go here, that sort of thing, for a big part of the evening, so. But it was a very, very nice event, this point. I